ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky joining us on the line. Dan, good to have you. You pumped for Monday night?
Oh, geez. Well, good to be with you guys. Pumped would be a massive understatement, you know. Obviously, when I got the news of the role, it was a very incredible, right, type of moment. And then when we got the assignment, because there's the doubleheader in Minnesota, Philly, and my wife's from Philly, and it was like, that would be a cool game. And then the other game, obviously, Tennessee at Buffalo, and I love the Buffalo fans and Bills Mafia, and I'm a massive fan of their team. And I'm like, dude, give me Bills Tennessee, because that game is outrageous. So, yeah, it's going to be an amazing experience for me. Certainly, I'm hoping and certainly getting ready to do it justice.
Yeah, and you know this too, Dan. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely off the hook because of the Bills fans are going to be going crazy with the expectations, plus having handed the defending world champions a 21-point loss. It's just going to spell out all kinds of excitement in the air. What are your thoughts? And I know you've probably begun to work on this game already. What are your thoughts about the Titans, how they've changed from a year ago when they were the number 1 seed, and the Bills a year ago when they had the season they did?
Tennessee right now doesn't look very different. You know, obviously one game. The difference is they're not identity or schematically any different. They still believe that they want to line up in their big bodies and run the football with Derrick and utilize their play-action pass. The difference is utilizing the play-action pass with A.J. Brown in comparison to Robert Woods or Treylon Burks. Robert comes over from the trade from the Rams. Treylon is their first-round pick out of Arkansas. I'm hoping and assuming that the NFL world's got a glimpse of A.J. Brown is a phenomenal wide receiver. And Robert's really good, but he's not A.J. And Treylon Burks, very talented, but he's not A.J. And it looked like watching that game, Tennessee was in search of who could go win on the perimeter. You know, even the way they were running their formations and trying to cut splits, it looked like they were trying to figure out who's the winner. And there wasn't a lot of chunks open in their pass game. Defensively, the thing that was the really big takeaway for me is their pass rush is just not the same without Harold Landry.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And that showed up later on in that football game. And then also, I don't want to say shocked, but the fact that the Giants' offensive line out-physicaled them. I mean, Saquon Barkley had an incredible game. He had 138 yards before getting touched. Before. I mean, that is the offensive line of New York just moving Tennessee. That does not happen often in Nashville.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I remember looking at the numbers after that game because I did not get a chance to watch it, and just to see that Daniel Jones threw the ball 21 times. I mean, look, you look at Saquon as a talent, you understand why they went to him as many times as they did, but he's also got to be productive and successful running the football, but they obviously were, and it just makes me feel, Dan, like there are just little chinks in the armor of what the Titans have been over the years. And the Harold Landry loss, I think, is a big one. I mean, I know they still have Dupree, and Simmons is still a monster up front. But that one's, I think, is going to be costly. I think it's going to take them weeks to find out how to replace him in the lineup. And then taking it a step further, as you pointed out, while the receivers, maybe have some potential, I don't think they're going to have it all ironed out in time for Monday night. So I don't know if they're going to be able to hang with Buffalo unless Derrick Henry absolutely goes off. And with the revamped defensive front that the Bills have now, with Jordan Phillips, Daquan Jones, and Tim Settle up there, I feel a whole lot better about them being gap sound against this run-first offensive Tennessee.
Absolutely. The downside is Tennessee comes in with desperation and urgency. You go 0-2 in this conference, night-night. It is going to be a brutal hill to climb back up. So they come in, everything on the table, unload the bag to try to get back to 1-1. The really underrated thing, too, is how well Von Miller plays the run. We often, elite edge rusher, all that. And the Rams candidly did not challenge them in the run game well. The Rams, especially in interior offensive line, got whooped. And it'll be a different beast with Tennessee, obviously, because that's who they are. And the Rams are not trying to even pretend to be that. What I really liked about Buffalo's defense against the Rams, and which will help certainly against Tennessee, is the way that they were doing things opposite Von Miller. They were putting Von in positions and understanding, listen, as an offense, we have to pay attention to Von Miller. I cannot, unless I have a top 3 or 4 offensive tackle in the league, I cannot one-on-one block him in many situations, let alone 3rd and 8. So they were doing really good games, stunts, two-man stuff away from Vaughn that was helping some of those non-superstar players, so to speak, be really, really good in the run and the pass game. And that, I think, in a greater sense of not only do they have the players that are necessary, that's when you lock in positions to be successful, so to speak.
And you look at the Tennessee Titans as they walk in here to Buffalo. They've got Ryan Tannehill, who, he's never on the list of elite quarterbacks. He's never one of those guys that people walk into a game saying, wow, I'm really afraid. But that guy, they win with him. And I was watching the film of their game this last week against the Giants. He still has a strong NFL arm, even though the offense has changed or evolved a little bit on the edges around him. Tell me a little bit about Ryan Tannehill, what you like or dislike about him as a QB.
Yeah, and this is his greatest strength, is he can fit the ball and he's unafraid to into tight windows. His ability to see windows and when they open and when they close, and his courage and conviction to fit the ball into tight windows without being reckless with the ball is his greatest attribute. And that's really, ever since he's become the starter down in Tennessee, is really throwing that ball with conviction into those windows. He operates the play-action game really well. He marries the ball fake and the concept of the routes with his feet very good. He's not going to hold the ball long when it comes to the play-action game. He does a good job 1 to 2 to 3, 1 2 to 3, and it's very much, you can see he's gotten thousands and thousands of reps of it. Wildly creative with his feet. Not designed run, obviously, because they're more reliant on Derrick. Very bright. You're not going to confuse him with coverage. And it's hard to get because they're so simplified on offense. He's a good player, and if you give him second-level crossing windows, horizontal windows, he can absolutely rip you apart in the play-action game.
Let's talk quickly, Dan, about Buffalo's third down prowess against the Rams last week. I know we talked to you in the offseason about Ken Dorsey, but the execution was just as good. 9 out of 10. I mean, that's just off the charts. I don't have to tell you that. The thing that I found most interesting was 3 of their biggest plays in terms of yardage gained came on third down. It was the 26-yarder on the 3rd and 1 to Davis for the touchdown, the 47-yarder to Davis on the deep post, and the 53-yarder to Diggs that Diggs told us after the game Josh drew up in the dirt. It wasn't even the called play. He saw Aaron Donald was not on the field and said, just go run. I'll have time to throw.
No, he didn't. That's a real story?
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Oh my, that's so. That is like elite offensive mind smart. Gosh, that just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. That's amazing. So, I think the thing that really stood out for me with those third downs was they felt in control. And Josh, I kind of tweeted this out. He did such a remarkable job of hitting his back leg, and either ball came out or he threw it. I'm going to run. My favorite play of the game, or one of them, is the long ball to Davis, the 43-yard post, or 47-yard post.
Yeah.
Because Singletary makes that play. I mean, Singletary comes over, sees protection, puts his face on a blitzer. The ball's able to get out. And if he doesn't, Josh isn't able to make that throw. So, but they were never really not in control of those third downs because they were so good on first and second down. I will be honest with you, my biggest takeaway, because I expected them offensively to play good pass game, my biggest takeaway was the implementation of a Kyle Shanahan type of run game. The numbers that they were getting in their run game, advantage-wise, in the utilization of formation and motion, that's not been their past, and that was my greatest takeaway offensively, because if they can sprinkle some of that in to that offense, oh, buddy.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of 21 personnel for sure with Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah, and they were using him as a fullback, but then aligning him as a tight end in multiple moments. It was, and then, getting the motion to come over, so they took a 3-man side and made it a 4-man side, and they were only blocking 3 people, four offensive guys. Like, it was really good.
Yeah.
Dan, thanks so much for coming and spending some time with us. Really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you here this weekend for Monday Night Football.
Thanks, fellas. Always a good time. Be well.